Good evening, all of you. Today we are going to discuss about legislative proposals and bills. There is two types of bills based on who introduced it and based on based on procedure of adoption, how that bill is adopted. So we can talk about types of bills based on who introduced it. We can say two types of bills is there, private bill and public bill. So private bill is introduced by a private member with 1 month's notice. So who is that private member? We can see in parliament ministers and MPs. So an MP who is not a minister, he is considered as a private member. So if that person is going to introduce a particular bill in parliament or state legislative assembly, so that bill is also known as a private bill. So introduced by a private member with 1 month's notice, he had to take 1 month before one notice to introduce that bill in parliament. And coming to public bill, so this is introduced by a minister, also called this bill is also known as a government bill, which need 7 days notice. If we can talk about private bill, which need 1 month prior notice to introduce that bill. Coming to public bill, this need 7 days notice. And another type of bills is there, types of bills based on procedure of adoption. We can talk about ordinary bills and money bills and finance bills and amendment bills is also there. Let's try and understand one by one what is a ordinary bill and matters enumerated in the central list or a concurrent list in the seventh schedule. We can say in seventh schedule central list is there and state list is there and concurrent list is also there. On central list, center has a power to make laws. On concurrent list, both states and center have the power to make laws according to those listed items. And coming to state list, state has authority to form to prepare any bill. So coming to ordinary bills, matters enumerated in the central list or concurrent list in the seventh schedule. Like example, the Wildlife Protection Act, we can say in Wildlife Protection Amendment Bill 2021 and National Anti-Doping Bill 2021, and also talk about the Indian Antarctic Bill 2021. So these are some of the examples related to ordinary bills. That is a brief about ordinary bills. And coming to money bills, so money bills containing provisions dealing with matters specified in Article 110, and it mentions specific matters like imposition of tax and abolition of tax and remission or alternation or regulation of any tax. All these the appropriation of money out of the consolidated fund of India, all these things considered as a money bill. So matters specified in Article 110. And let's try and understand different types of bills as we already discussed money bill. Let's try and understand little bit detail. Like money bill only introduced in Lok Sabha, so we can't introduce money bill in Rajya Sabha. So it's only introduced in Lok Sabha and only introduced by a minister, means a public bill. So we can say it is a public bill. So public member is going to introduce. So who is a public member? So minister is a public member. Here private member is not given chance to introduce that bill, particularly money bill. So only introduced in Lok Sabha and only introduced by a minister, and needs recommendation, prior recommendation of president is required. So and cannot be this bill cannot be amended or rejected by Rajya Sabha, but can make recommendations. It has authority to make recommendations, but it can't amend or reject the money bill. And coming to Rajya Sabha can hold it for maximum 14 days after passing in Lok Sabha. When it goes to Rajya Sabha can hold it for maximum 14 days only. And after passage in Lok Sabha, certification by the speaker is required before sending it to Rajya Sabha. And approval of Rajya Sabha is not mandatory for it to be presented for the presidential assent. So these are the things coming to money bill. and if it is passed in Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, like if there is any disagreement in Rajya Sabha, so there is no need, like no provision of joint session coming to money bills. But if it is a ordinary bill, we can see joint session as well presided by Lok Sabha Speaker. And coming to money bills, defeat of this bill in Lok Sabha may lead to resignation of the government. So because they already took uh, pre-recommendation of president and introduced by a minister who is a public member. Once a defeat of this bill in Lok Sabha may lead to resignation of the government, and president can either reject the bill or approve the bill but cannot return the bill. So president have powers like rejecting the bill or approving the bill or return the bill when it comes to ordinary bills. But in a money bill, he can reject or approve, but he don't return the bill because he don't have that right. He don't have that opportunity to reject, like to return the bill. So this is all about money bill, like only introduced in Lok Sabha and only introduced by minister and needs recommendation of president, cannot be amended or rejected by Rajya Sabha but can make recommendations. Rajya Sabha can hold it for maximum 14 days and certification by the speaker required before sending it to Rajya Sabha. And approval of Rajya Sabha is not mandatory and no provision for joint sitting, and defeat of this bill lead to resignation of the government, and president can either reject or approve the bill but cannot return. So this is all about money bill. Let's try and understand ordinary bill. It's a different from money bill. It introduced in both houses. We can introduce in a Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, and introduced by any member, like a private member can introduce or public member is also has authority to introduce. But coming to money bill, only minister can introduce that bill. So that's the difference. And no recommendation required, like no prior recommendation of president is required. But when it comes to money bill, president recommendation is required, prior recommendation, as we can see. And ordinary bill can be amended or rejected by Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha can amend the bill, or if it is not interested, then it can reject the bill also. So, and Rajya Sabha can hold it for 6 months maximum. So once passed by Lok Sabha, and if it enters to Rajya Sabha can hold it for 6 months maximum. And certification by speaker is not required in ordinary bill, but it is required in money bill, and must be passed by Rajya Sabha before going for presidential assent. Rajya Sabha is not, like approval of Rajya Sabha is not required in money bills, but Rajya Sabha must be passed the bill before going for presidential assent, as in ordinary bill. And in case of deadlock in ordinary bill, the president may call for a joint session, like both houses, both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. And if introduced by a minister, its rejection in Lok Sabha may lead to resignation of the government. Like we can say, like public member bill is there and private member bill is there. If public person introduce the ordinary bill, but its rejection in Lok Sabha, so may lead to resignation of the government. We have to understand, we have to remember this. We always confuse. And ordinary bill, like president can approve, reject or return the bill. He has three powers, like he can approve, and he has the authority to reject as well, and for reconsideration as well. So this is all about money bill and ordinary bill. Let's talk about finance bills. So finance bill introduced to give effect to the financial proposals. It is classified as a category A and category B. Coming to category A, like finance bill A, category A, provisions mentioned in article 120 and other matters are included in this category A concept. And category B, expenditure from the consolidated fund of India. These things are controlled by category B. And coming to, let's try and understand the like money bill, finance bill A and finance bill B, and what is the difference between them. A finance bill, like a money bill, it's a President recommendation is needed. President prior recommendation is needed for money bill, and as we already discussed, and Rajya Sabha cannot amend or reject the bill, and need a speaker's certification after passed in Lok Sabha while sending it to Rajya Sabha. Speaker's certification is needed, and money bill only be introduced in Lok Sabha but not in Rajya Sabha. And if there is a deadlock, we can't see deadlock in money bill, like disagreement by Rajya Sabha, it not consider lapse of bill. It can hold only a few days, and no provision for joint session we can say in money bill. And last, let's talk about Finance Bill A and Finance Bill B, and we can also call it as a Finance Bill 1 and Finance Bill 2. So coming to Finance Bill 1, so it's a President's recommendation is needed like a money bill. It's like money bill plus ordinary bill. A President's recommendation is needed, and President like only be introduced in Lok Sabha like money bill, but there is a difference. Rajya Sabha can reject or amend in Finance Bill A. But coming to Money Bill, Rajya Sabha cannot amend or reject. Here we can see difference. And President can summon joint session in Finance Bill 1. But coming to Money Bill, no provision for joint session. Here also we can see a difference between Money Bill and Finance Bill 1. And no certification is required by Speaker. But in Money Bill, Speaker certification is necessary. So that's the difference between Money Bill and Finance Bill 1. And coming to Finance Bill 2, here as well, President's recommendation is not required for ordinary bill, and Rajya Sabha can reject or amend the bill, so like a ordinary bill, and no certification is required by Speaker, and introduced in both houses. But when it comes to Money Bill, only be introduced in Lok Sabha. When it comes to Finance Bill 1, only be introduced in Lok Sabha. But coming to Finance Bill 2, we can see introduced in both houses. This where we can see difference between Money Bill, Finance Bill and Finance Bill AB. So coming to Finance Bill 2, President can summon a joint session. So this is all about Money Bill, Finance Bill 1, Finance Bill 2, and Money Bill like Article 110 matter specified Article 110(1). It's talk about Money Bill. And coming to Finance Bill, Article 117(1) matter specified Article 110(1) and others. So Finance Bill, we can see matter specified Article 110 and others also included. Finance Bill 1 is mentioned in Article 117(1). And coming to Finance Bill 2, it's mentioned in Article 117 Clause 3 of the Indian Constitution, and it's talk about expenditure from the Consolidated Fund of India. So these are all types of bills. And coming to constitutional amendment bills, so deal with amending the provisions of the Constitution. So, and features like no prior recommendation of the President required, no prior recommendation of President, and can be introduced in either of the houses, like we can introduce it in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, and President cannot withhold their assent. Like President can give like assent or can return but cannot withhold their assent, and no provision for joint sitting as well. So we can see joint sitting only in ordinary bill but not present in Money Bill and Constitutional Amendment Bill. And this is all about legislative proposals. And let's try and understand procedure, stages in legislative procedure, how any bill can pass by both Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Let's try and understand. So we divided into separate steps like stages. Step 1 talk about first reading. So a permission of the House is sought by a member of the Parliament to move a motion for introduction of a bill. So after getting the permission, a bill is introduced in the House. Like a member need permission from House. Then after getting permission, a bill is introduced in the House. A member who has introduced the bill reads its title and what are the objectives. And then there is no discussion on this bill at this stage. So after its introduction in the parliament, after taking prior permission and after reading its title and objectives, after its introduction in the parliament, the bill is published in the gazette. And introduction of a bill and its a publication constitutes a first reading of the bill. So first reading, this is a first step, permission of house needed, and after getting permission, bill is introduced in the house. Then who introduced that bill, they can read title and objectives as well, and there is no discussion at this stage. And after introduction in the bill, like in parliament, the bill is published in the gazette. So this constitutes first reading of the bill. And coming to step 2, this is second reading of the bill. So once a bill has been introduced, it may either directly be taken up for discussion in the house or may be referred to a parliamentary committee for scrutiny. Once any bill is introduced, directly can take up for discussion in the house, but if it is not, then it refer to parliamentary committee for scrutiny, then they will discuss it. So this how it work. So if the bill is referred to a committee, if in case a situation, we can think, if any bill is referred to a committee, so this the discussion on bill takes place after the concerned committee submit its report to the parliament. Well, once the bill is referred to committee and committee submits its report, and then report to the parliament submits its report, detailed clause by clause discussion on the bill takes place at this stage. In a first reading, we can say there is no discussion, but in second reading, we can say detailed clause by clause discussion on the bill takes place at this stage. And members can also move amendments to the clauses of a bill. So if any member is not he's not liking that particular portion or any clause, he can give amendments, and if these amendments are accepted by the house, they are incorporated in the bill. And this is all about second reading. Second reading, after introducing the bill, either directly taken for discussion or it can refer to parliamentary committee for scrutiny. After this committee submits its report, clause by clause detailed discussion takes place, and any amendments is preferred by members that can be included. And if that amendments are accepted by the house with majority, they are all the amendments are incorporated into the bill. And this is all about step 1 and step 2. Let's try and understand step 3, that is called as a third reading. At this stage, the bill is simply put to vote for acceptance or rejection. So at this stage, a bill is put to vote. Either they will accept it or not. They will reject. They have choice. And no amendment is proposed or accepted at this stage. Amendments can be accepted or included in the bill in a second stage only, like in step 2. But in third reading, no amendment is proposed and accepted at this stage. If the bill is passed by a majority of the members present in voting, so it's a simple majority, the bill is transferred to another house. So if any bill is introduced in Lok Sabha, it transferred to Rajya Sabha. If any bill is introduced in Rajya Sabha, it can be transferred to Lok Sabha. After a majority of members present and voting, that's a simple majority. And then bill in other house. So we completed step 1, step 2, step 3, first reading, second reading, and third reading. And then we can see bill in other house. Bill, when transmitted to the other house of the parliament, goes through the same steps mentioned above, like a step 1, first reading, second reading, and third reading is same in both houses. Like after one bill is passed in one house and transmitted to other house, there as well we can see these 3 steps. And if the other house passes the bill with a simple majority, here as well, if it is an ordinary bill, need a simple majority in Lok Sabha, and then it is passed in Rajya Sabha as well. just think like that. The bill is then transferred to the president for his assent. If the president assent the bill, it becomes an act of the parliament. And president have powers like he can approve, he can reject or return the bill. So if he accept the bill, like if he give assent to the bill, then it becomes an act of the parliament. If the president assent the bill passed by both houses of parliament, it becomes an act of parliament. And if the other house of parliament disagree with the provisions of a bill passed by the previous house, there arise a deadlock between two houses, which may arise due to following conditions like due to disagreement or a rejection or inaction by the other house, like a second house. So what is disagreement here? The other house of the parliament may suggest amendments to the bill which may not be accepted to the previous house where the bill has originated. If let's assume if bill is like originated in Lok Sabha and it completed first reading, second reading, and third reading, then it transferred to uh, Rajya Sabha. There Rajya Sabha suggested some amendments, but which is not accepted by Lok Sabha. Then we can see disagreement is there between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. That is simply about disagreement. The other house of the parliament may suggest amendments to the bill which may not be acceptable to the previous house where the bill was originally originated. So this is the disagreement. Then that is the one case. That is the one condition, as we can say. And another condition is like for joint session, a rejection. The other chooses to reject the bill altogether. If Rajya Sabha altogether rejecting the bill, so that is also one condition. And inaction, the other house does not make any action on the bill for 6 months. When it comes to, as we already saw, ordinary bill, Rajya Sabha can hold ordinary bill maximum 6 months. So if it is passed by Lok Sabha and then transmitted to Rajya Sabha, there they didn't they didn't approved or they didn't rejected, they didn't make any amendments. They just does not take any action on the bill for 6 months. So these are the conditions where we can see joint session conditions, deadlock between two houses we can see. The condition under Article 108 provides for joint sitting of two houses in order to resolve such a deadlock. And joint sitting, president can summon joint sitting under Article 108 to resolve a deadlock. And who is the presiding officer who will who will preside on joint sitting means a speaker of Lok Sabha. If speaker of Lok Sabha is absent, in his absence, deputy speaker can chair joint sitting. If in case speaker is absent and deputy speaker is also absent, both are from Lok Sabha, in this case, in both their absence, we can see who can chair joint sitting. We always think like a chairman of Rajya Sabha can sit, but it's wrong. A deputy chairman, not chairman. Chairman is a vice president, ex officio chairman. So he is not a presiding authority in joint sitting. A deputy chairman can preside. And if a speaker, deputy speaker, and deputy chairman is also absent, in all of their absence, we can say decided by the members of the house who will chair the joint sitting. They will decided by the members of the house. And amendments to bill under these conditions, like the amendments that have caused the disagreement or amendment which became necessary due to delay in the passage of the bills. An example, since in independence only 3 bills have been referred for a joint sitting. One is Dowry Prohibition Bill in 1961 and Banking Service Commission Repeal Bill 1978 and Prevention of Terrorism Bill 2002. So only 3 bills have been referred for joint sitting up to it. And in there we can see rules of procedure of Lok Sabha have to be followed and need a simple majority in joint sitting. Exception is there, not available for money bill or a constitution amendment bill. So this is all about legislative proposal and procedure as well. Let's try and understand what we are discussed up to yet, what I discuss with you in this session. I talk about private bill, what is private bill, and what is public bill, and what is a ordinary bill and money bill, and what is the difference between money bill and ordinary bill, and finance bills. Two categories is there, category A and category B. And what is the difference between money bill? We always confuse like money bill, finance bill A, finance bill B, and we talk about it. And constitution amendment bill, and I talk about stages in legislative procedure, like a step 1 first reading, and step 2 second reading, and step 3 third reading, and bill in other house, and how president assent, and how any situation like a deadlock like situation created between two houses, what is the conditions like disagreement or rejection or inaction of the bill. So what is a joint sitting and who preside on it, and what is the examples, how much majority is required to pass a deadlock condition. So this is all for today. If you like the video, please subscribe to my channel, and don't miss to click the bell icon. And if you need this type of videos, and if you just close your eyes and try to listen and try to revise with me daily like this. Bye bye, take care, good night.